for its refreshed model year. And no, it's not just this paint color. We have a brand new trim level and it's called the EX Premium. Today's video, we're going over everything you get in the 2025 Sportage, and more specifically, we'll highlight the changes that the EX Premium adds on. This is a live stream car review though, so we're doing this in a real time with no script, no editing, and no help, except for Adam, our cameraman. So Adam over here, he's our co-op student. He's on his second week working here.
Yeah.
He's learning, and I'm learning too. And hopefully you guys are watching this. If there's anything else you'd like to know about the Kia Sportage, let me know in the comments. You can add it into the live chat if you're watching this in real time, or if you're watching this in the future, I check the comments each and every single day. In the meantime, let's get right into it.
All right.
I'll get the price point out of the way firsthand, and that is $44,395 Canadian for the EX Premium. That's $3,000 more than the entry-level EX model for the hybrid. All right, let's go, Adam. Now, the EX Premium has been available in the gas version of the Sportage as well as the plug-in hybrid version, but it's never since been available on the straight hybrid. I will say, as the name suggests, we get a couple more premium touches to this trim. Refresh, we have a lot of horizontal lines. This definitely widens the front end of this vehicle, giving it a more grown-up look compared to last year's iteration of the Sportage. Your headlamps, on the contrast, are vertical, so very upright, widening, but also giving more height to the front end of the car. Your LEDs for your daytime running lamps are now an amber light instead of the traditional white LED that we had previously, and no longer do we have that boomerang style shape. So everything is nice, vertical, and upright. For the main bulbs, we do have projection style headlamps, so that means the light beam is more focused on where you need it most, and there's less overspray or spread on the headlamps. Very helpful for oncoming drivers so they're not getting blinded by your vehicle specifically. This vehicle also has high beam assist, allowing you as a driver to turn on your auto high beams, and the vehicle will shut them off when it senses another vehicle nearby or sufficient surrounding light. We also get the addition of LED fog lamps for the EX Premium trim level, so they'll start on this trim and work their way up to the SX top model. Standard are forward-facing parking sensors. So these ultrasonic sensors are peppered throughout the front bumper to give you a visual and audible alert to when you get too close to any obstacle ahead of you, whether that be a car or a wall or a pedestrian. We also have forward collision avoidance standard on this vehicle, as well as lane keeping assist, lane following assist, and highway driving assist. Now, all of those assists are very helpful, but what you need to know is the major upgrade is highway driving assist being standard. This vehicle has incorporated navigation, which essentially turns a regular smart cruise control into an advanced version of it. It knows the speed limit of the highway that you're on, if there's any bends in the road, and it acts accordingly to keep you centered in your lane, always at a safe speed from the car ahead of you, and will slow you down if you hit stop and go traffic. All right, now I think we should talk a little bit more on the styling. So we'll take a few steps back to get the full profile of the front end, and we'll talk elements. So lots of gloss black can be found on this vehicle. I think it's a beautiful contrast for the heritage blue paint. So gloss black all throughout the front grille with this nice slight touch of this satin chrome bar on the overhead. Your Kia emblem is finished in a brushed aluminum, almost pressed in emblem, so it's not overly sticking out. It looks nice, clean, clear, and modern. The lower portion for your skid plate in your front lip will just be a nice satin chrome like what we see up top, so almost a sandwich style. We got mixed match materials, but they're in line and it looks clean. Powertrain time. I'm gonna pop the hood. Adam, you can stay right there. And we'll talk what makes the hybrid special. So, if you've never owned a hybrid before, it can sound very complex. All the complexity, though, is handled by the vehicle itself. So you as a driver, you don't have to do anything too differently to drive a hybrid car. The vehicle does all of the work. So, like what most people are used to, we have a gasoline engine. It's a 1.6-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder engine. This engine on its own produces about 195 horsepower, but because we have a hybrid, we also have a 64 horsepower and 64 kilowatt electric motor. When those forces combine together, we have a total horsepower output of 241 horse with 258 pound-feet of torque. So quite the power advancement from the regular gasoline version of the Kia Sportage, even though now we're working with a smaller engine. The main benefit of a hybrid, though, is the fuel savings. So by using both a gasoline engine and an electric motor together, this vehicle gets about 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers combined. That's highway and city driving. It does this by incorporating power from the electric motor when the vehicle sees fit. Again, all of this is done automatically by the car, nothing that you have to do as a driver. When you're sitting in stop-and-go traffic, instead of the engine running, the vehicle will sit in EV mode, so you're not wasting fuel when you don't need to. It's pretty smart, and if you guys have any questions, let me know in the live chat now, and we'll dedicate a few minutes towards the end towards answering them. Next in the styling department is the wheels. So the EX Premium adds on and turns those 17-inch alloys from the EX trim to this beautiful 18-inch machine finished alloy. We've got gloss black fur in inner portions, woo, and then the outer portions are highlighted with that machine finished light accent. Your tire is a Goodyear all-season tire, and all-wheel drive is standard on the Sportage hybrid here in Canada. So the all-wheel drive system works this way. It's front-wheel drive biased, so if it's a regular sunny day and you're on dry pavement, your vehicle is primarily front-wheel drive for fuel efficiency savings. However, if it senses a little bit of slippage in your Sportage, it will incorporate more power to the rear automatically. Again, nothing that you have to do as a driver. However, the car does have terrain mode select like snow, mud, and sand, each of which will redistribute the torque to preset settings. Mud mode and sand mode are a 50-50 torque split, and then snow mode is primarily 80-20. That's 80 in the front, 20 in the rear. However, that can go down to 50-50 if you're traveling slowly or really stuck. That sounds a little bit complicated, but what you really need to know is it's a smart system and it does the adjustments on its own unless you want to do it yourself. If that's the case, everything's still preset, so nice and easy. We've got ventilated disc brakes up at the front. These are going to be your larger brakes, and then solid disc brakes in the rear. Surrounding your wheels, you have a beautiful gloss black wheel arch, adding to some more style and contrast with our light paint. If you're curious about this paint color, it's called Heritage Blue, and it's brand new for the 2025 Sportage refresh. Your windshield is a heated windshield, so just by me showing it to you, it doesn't look any different than a regular windshield, but the main difference is we have small burners throughout the glass that will slowly melt snow and ice off your front windshield. Most people are used to having this in your rear window or your side mirrors. We have it on the side mirrors, the rear, and the front now. You can also start your vehicle in advance from your phone thanks to the Kia Connect app and turn on the heated windshield. So come wintertime, your vehicle is completely defrosted. Make sure you take the snow off the roof though. All right, for your mirrors, the EX Premium trim level introduces power folding mirrors. We also have our turn signal indicator, a little bit of gloss black trim surrounding the mirror. And then on the reflective part itself, we also have our blind spot detection icon. So that little cautionary icon will illuminate if there's a vehicle in your left or right blind spot, but also provide you with some corrective action if it senses the risk of a blind spot collision. Surrounding your windows, more gloss black trim for the belt line, but also your pillars. And then that same material is repeated for our roof rails. Both front doors, I was about to say seats, have proximity entry. So as long as the key's on you, you'll simply press on the button to unlock or lock the car, and you'll never have to dig for your keys. All right, so we'll get a nice wide side profile view. You'll notice again the gloss black elements on the roof rails, moving their way to your pillars and your belt line. And then along the bottom of the vehicle, your side skirts and door, we have that satin chrome material, as well as more gloss black surrounds. One thing I really do love about this vehicle is how long the door is, and hear me out, a lot of people don't think about this, but I actually have a vehicle right next to us to compare it to. So see how the door itself isn't being built up here. So when you get into your car, and you got your pant leg or whatever, maybe you're loading kids into the back, this section here, because it's blocked by the door, isn't going to get the dirt and dust and just general road debris. It's only on the door, not on this panel. So something thoughtful that they included in the design. I hope that made sense or could be visually seen. In contrast, this Kia Seltos doesn't have it, so the door ends off a little around here, and then if you were standing right next to the vehicle, your pant legs could get dirty if the exterior of the car was dirty. So this is a small little thing I noticed. I just wanted to share with you guys. All right, coming along to the rear. So the rear hasn't changed too much styling-wise from last year. At first glance, you may not even notice any difference, but let me show you some of them. Surrounding the housing of your tail lamps, we have a lot more gloss black elements, and then the light bars themselves have slightly changed in design. You still have LEDs back here, so they're bold and they're bright. Up at the top, you have your high-mounted stop lamp with your rear wiper hidden just underneath. So that blocks snow and ice from building up on the wiper. The glass pane back here is also heated, just like I said about our front windshield. Power liftgate starting on this EX Premium trim level. The height is adjustable on the power liftgate. Sorry, it was just washed, so I'm gonna avoid going under the water, but we'll show you what we got back here. Space-wise, the Sportage shines. There's a ton of room, and you can comfortably have 5 people in your vehicle while still being able to move all of your goods, whether that's luggage, hockey bags, you name it, there's space for it in the Sportage. I've got the rear seats on maximum recline right now, so we are working with a little bit less space in the typical cargo capacity. However, the left side I've knocked down completely. So that is the maximum amount that the seats will go down. There's a slight curve upwards or a slight incline. However, if you wanted to camp in the car or just load your stuff in, it wouldn't get in the way of that. Lifting up the floorboard, we have a compact spare tire. So instead of a mobility kit or an inflator kit, we have a real piece of rubber, which is fantastic because if you do experience a full blowout, this is the only thing that can really get you back up and on the road. You also have 5 years, unlimited kilometers of roadside assistance all throughout North America. So if you can't change a spare or if you don't want to, that is okay, you are still covered. Now, a few more things I want to talk about on the rear portion of the vehicle have to do with not only the sensors, but our light locations. So, sensor-wise, just like what we had on our front bumper, we have 4 along the rear, and this entire bumper is gloss black with a little bit more satin chrome. Your reverse light is positioned a little bit lower. However, I know a lot of you guys in the comments like to talk about light positions. This is the only low-placed lamp. Everything else back here is a reflector. So, your main turn signals are in a perfect line of view for the cars ahead of you. It's not positioned too low into the car. So, it's safe. I hope it approves with you guys. For your fuel tank, it's a 52-liter tank and only regular unleaded fuel is necessary. So you do not have to worry about premium or mid-grade fuel. Regular unleaded is just fine. So it's a slightly smaller gas tank than the regular gas Sportage. However, it'll take you a whole lot further because we have the hybrid powertrain. And again, that hybrid will decide on its own when it's going to use primarily power from the gas engine or when it's going to use that electric motor. So you do not have to do anything as a driver differently. Transmission-wise, we have a 6-speed automatic transmission. Then when you get inside the cabin, you'll notice we have paddle shifters tied to that transmission. I'll talk about that in a second, but first, Adam will give you a pan of what our seats and the overall layout of the front cabin looks like. The seats are one of my favorites on the EX Premium, and it's a favorite of mine because it's a bit of a surprise. Before this vehicle arrived at the dealership, we had some internal documents, but none of them mentioned what the seating material really was. So we knew it was going to be a nice leatherette seat, but we didn't know the upper portion was going to have a suede insert. So not only does this look fantastic, it provides you a little bit of suede in the places where it's not necessarily a problem. So because it's your upper back, you don't really have to worry too much about the wear from sitting in the suede all the time. The seats themselves also have a nice quilted pattern, so they're fun to look at, they're luxurious, and they're very comfortable. I mentioned that the EX Premium offers a lot of premium functions, so let me tell you all about them. On the door, you'll notice we now have memory seats integrated into the vehicle. So 2 buttons to save your seats, however, it's 2 per user profile. This vehicle has 3 user profiles, which gives you a grand total of 6 different seating saves. The seats are tied with your mirrors, so if you frequently change drivers in your household, you no longer have to fight over your seating and mirror positions. The only mirror that you'll still have to manually adjust is your rear view, but hopefully that's okay. Now, the seats themselves, we have multiple ways to get, and then how close it